Welcome to this video. It is a bit more serious. What happens if my twin flame dies? It is October, so it seems to be the right month, and I'm actually right now recording. I just recorded several videos on my, let's call it, death series about manifesting someone coming back from the dead, experiences of people who died and then all of a sudden shifted timelines and didn't die. So a lot of very interesting stuff you will find in the playlist of the death series, so you can watch that. But right now I want to talk specifically about twin flames. What happened if my twin flame, or I think I rather want to say divine counterparts, like your person, your true love, dies. Because a twin flame is just one form of divine counterparts. It doesn't have to be that label. And so I always say the label is not that important.
Oh, my love, Janine, I'm helpless for your smile.
So what happens if your divine counterpart dies? First of all, if that has happened, I'm absolutely sorry, and I can only imagine the pain and grief you're going through. Let's talk about several things. Why it happened, and I don't want to... Okay, we need to tread lightly here, okay? I don't want to create the energy of blame, because it's not about blame. But I strongly believe, and more scientists believe that now as well, and there have already been people who knew that decades ago and hundreds of years ago and even longer. So it is your consciousness that is reality, and everything is just a reflection. And more physicists believe that we do live in actually a hologram, and your consciousness is influencing, you could say, not just influencing, creating the hologram you live. And your specific person, your true love, is basically the 3D reflection of your own inner divine masculine if you are divine feminine, or divine feminine if you are divine masculine. And I do have videos on how that is created. You can find my video of everyone is you pushed out, or your twin flame is you pushed out, and also about, I have a video about the divine feminine and one about the divine masculine where I talk more in detail about that. But your person is basically the 3D projection of your internal life. So what happens if we do have a big sense of loss, fear of loss? Unfortunately, the universe never knows what you want to experience. The universe will always try to give you what it thinks you want, and it always thinks you want what is either unhealed in your subconscious mind, or where you constantly put your focus, your energy. Thoughts are energy. So if you're focused very much on separation, or maybe even you have been in union, but there has been separation, and the fear of that could happening again, and if it's a big fear, that will have to manifest in separation, and in worst case scenario, even in the separation where somebody is leaving this, let's call it like physical reality. But again, reality, true reality, is here in your mind. Please watch my video on timelines. I do have a video understanding timelines where I describe that everything already is created in different timelines, right? So you always get the timeline that matches your frequency. So there is the timeline where you never met your person. There's the timeline you met and nothing ever really happened. There's the timeline, like all possible outcomes, right? Where you fell in love but it never worked out. There's a timeline where you fell in love and you've been on this journey for years and you never made it. There's this timeline where you took a long time to get together. There's a timeline where you didn't take that long. There's a timeline where you took even less time, and then there's a timeline where you were happy or are happy or still are happy. There's the timeline where you got together and separated again. There's this timeline where you got together and one of you passed on. So all of those realities exist simultaneously. I always say it's like radio channels. They all broadcast at the same time. All timelines exist simultaneously. And just because you just listen to the pop channel right now doesn't mean that the rock channel or the rap channel doesn't exist. They exist at the same time. Your soul makes all of those experiences, but your conscious mind can only make one of those experiences. And the experience you make, like the channel you get tuned into, the reality you tune into, is the one that matches your assumption, not your person's assumptions, strictly your assumptions. So if you have that deep-rooted pain and fear of losing them, then that might prompt the universe to put you onto the timeline where you do lose them, because that is what you put out energetically. They're not there, loss. And the universe is like, all right, loss, we can do that if that's what you want, right? But again, it's not about blaming, because what is not conscious within you, or you didn't know yet, that your thoughts, by thoughts I want to say assumptions, because a thought is like too much, like the iceberg metaphor, it's just like 10 to 15% is consciousness, the rest is subconscious. So it's not your conscious thoughts that manifest, it is what lies beneath. And a thought you think multiple times turn into belief, and your beliefs manifest. And if you didn't know that, and you accidentally manifested something you don't like, then it's not your fault. But it's your responsibility now to heal that, to clear that. So now we got that out of the way. So I wanted to say why did it manifest? It's not the universe punishing you. The universe already created all outcomes. So the happy end also exists, and your soul is making that experience. A version of you is making that experience. The universe doesn't judge. It doesn't know what do you like, what not, what feels good, what not. Everything you put focus on is automatically the order to the universe. Doesn't matter if it's something you would like to experience or not like to experience. Worst case scenario, you have ended in a timeline where your person has passed. What can you do now? What happens now? Well, again, multiple outcomes. The universe already programmed all different scenarios, and now you're watching this video, so now you realize you get to choose. Because once you are aware that you can choose, and you learn how, you can watch my videos on manifesting, on the law of assumption. You can learn more about Neville Goddard. You can learn more about the holographic universe. You can watch the other videos on my death series. Now that you know there is something you can do, because you always manifest. You either subconsciously manifest, your beliefs always manifest, or you learn to consciously manifest and you recreate them. What I would not advise you to try, and I do have a video on that in the death series. I don't know if it's out yet when the time I'm uploading this. If not, it will come in the next week or so. I would not suggest to manifest jumping timelines to where they are still alive, and I explain why specifically in that video, so you can watch that. What I would rather suggest is that you have created this person once, and you can recreate them. And I already told you, your person is nothing but a 3D projection of your own inner feminine or masculine. So you already drew them into your life once, and you can do that again. Not in that same physical body, obviously, because in your reality, that body is no longer here, but the essence is still alive. And maybe you have heard of walk-ins. A walk-in would be if one soul leaves a body, but the body doesn't die. Instead, another stream of consciousness comes in. That's a spiritual definition of a walk-in. Like that one soul, the first one soul knew, oh, in this experience, I only want to turn 35. And then this specific life of all of the infinite lives ends for me. And then another soul is like, okay, well, if you only want to use that body until you're 35, I'm just giving a random number, I want to then take over, use that body. I don't want to go through the first 35 years. I want to be 35 in, I don't know, let's say 2023. And I don't want to be reborn in 2023. I want to be 35 in 2023. And I died maybe in 2022. So I'm now taking over that body. That would be a walk-in on spiritual terms. Do I still believe that now that I know about the holographic universe? Somewhat. It's just potato, right? It's different verbs to describe something. What I rather believe is that since everything is a hologram, and you are the only real person in your personal hologram, or different timelines, all possible outcome has already happened, and it is always your belief that puts things into your reality, like with the hologram. It is your assumptions that manifest. So your person is your 3D reflection of your own inner divine feminine and masculine. Every person you've dated in the past has been the reflection of your own inner feminine masculine. And when you have still been distorted, then that is what you attracted in. When you were clearing that and ascending, then you would always attract somebody who is more. If you didn't, then you attracted the same thing over and over and over again. You know, it's a karmic cycle. If we once had a cheater and we didn't clear that, then we attract the next cheater and the next and the next and the next and then the next. The other person is just a projection. So you drew that projection to your life once, you can do it again. And if you liked that person, that stream of consciousness, you can connect to that same stream of consciousness and pull that back into your life again in a different body. Is it really like I just described with the walk-in? Maybe. Do I think that is really that? I don't know. But I think is basically that when we recreate something within ourselves, it has to change on the outside. So when you meet someone or you want to pull that person back and the person is coming in a new body, maybe they have been different in the past, but when we manifest, we can change people. Not by manipulating them, but if we want to change a person, then we change the image of them within ourselves and of ourselves, of course. It does not help to just see the other person as they're treating you with respect. You also have to manifest, I am the person who's always respected, right? You are the one who's always respected and they do treat you with respect. So it is a two-way street. As soon as we change on the inside, the projection will have to change as well. So it doesn't matter what that person was like before you drew them into your life, because once they are in your life, it is your assumptions that will form them. So of course, it may feel like a walk-in, like one day they were like this and then all of a sudden they were completely changed. But it doesn't matter how exactly it happens. What can happen is, yes, you can manifest that person coming back to you. And by person, I don't mean that body, I mean the essence, their essence. The feeling you've had when you were with them. The deep love you've had with them. And your ego may say, I don't think I could ever love another person like this. But again, the person in the first place only has been a creation of yourself, a reflection of what is within you. So it is basically, can I love myself like that? Because it is the love you have for your own inner divine, feminine or masculine. So if you have that love, I love myself in the whole and I have healed my image of femininity or masculinity. If that has happened, then you can attract that back, because the first person was just a reflection and the next person can be a reflection too. And if that person had some qualities you really, really liked, then you can manifest somebody with the same quality, with the same essence. You can manifest somebody who feels exactly the same way. Their energy feels the same way. You can manifest the same energy back into your life, different body. You can manifest the same kind of love back into your life, different body, different name, but the same essence. However, if you're in pain and grief right now, don't try to do it right now. Heal first. Because if you do it now and you haven't healed that loss yet, you still have the energy of loss within you. What will you attract them? Either no one or someone who can't give you commitment. Because your energy is still, I'm not loved, I'm alone, they're not there. The universe will always mirror your assumptions. So we have to heal that first. We have to make peace. And once you're stable, you can absolutely manifest that person back with any technique. I have a whole playlist of different techniques to manifest. You can do scripting, visualization, affirming, doesn't matter. Pick a technique and just, get your person back. So just because they're gone with their physical body, the essence is not gone. And you can either say, okay, I don't need to manifest that essence back. I'll just make peace with that essence being on the other side. And that's also what you could do. You could just connect to them. Have them as your spirit guide. And when you're ready, say, I want to manifest new love. And it could be a completely other person that still will be the projection of your own inner divine feminine or masculine, because they always are. But different quirks, different personality, but still of course have like the core energy that you have within yourself, or your assumptions about manhood, but have their own quirks. That of course could also be that you are still connected with your person beyond and have completely new love, like a whole new person. Or you can say, no, I want to have that essence back in real life, and then you can manifest them back in a new body. Because again, it's just energy. Everything is energy. Soul is energy. Our soul is a stream of consciousness, and it's your creation. It's your hologram, and you can manifest in your hologram whatever you like. So you can manifest a walk-in, let's call it that, or walk-in. Don't have to. You can make peace with them being on the other side and manifest new love. It's up to you. But first you have to get out of this energy that manifested them passing in the first place. This, whatever it is, the loss energy. And it could be like a childhood energy. Could be something like, I remember in my childhood mom was never there and I never got the nurture, and there was this deep energy of loss programmed into your being, you could say, into your energy, and then it manifests later on. You can use the revision technique for that, and please subscribe and hit the bell icon, because I am going to give you a lot of videos in the near future about revision, and one of the first ones I'm going to make is about revising a childhood. Also, of course, I do already have a meditation on revising a childhood to a happy childhood. You could listen to that. Anyway, that is what can happen when your twin flame dies. But again, it's your hologram. If you stay stuck in this grief and you don't actively try to heal, and if you need to get help, like therapy, do that. Please get help. If you feel like you cannot get out of this soul by yourself, there's no shame in getting help. But it is vital to do that, because again, the universe will always reflect you, and if you carry on to that grief and pain, that is what can manifest. It doesn't have to, but maybe you have heard of people who have been widowed twice, where you think, oh wow, my 2 husbands died way too early. Yeah, because the first one wasn't really healed, and then it was just an assumption, husband dies, and then that can manifest in that happening again. Does it have to? No, absolutely not. It depends on how we deal with it. But it's always your assumptions. It's never the universe trying to punish you. There is no evil entities trying to punish you or take something away from you. It is always something that's within you that is getting mirrored back. So now it's your responsibility to take care of limiting belief, past hurts that are within you. One technique is Ho'oponopono. I do have a video on Ho'oponopono as well, and there will be more to come. Or there's other channels. You can clear it with Ho'oponopono, revision technique, MET, EFT, whatever technique. But please take care of the program that manifested, and then you can manifest your true love and your happy end. It doesn't matter if you manifest it in a completely other stream of consciousness or them coming back. But it's your reality. If you need help or personal coaching, you can of course reach out. I maybe see you there or in another video. Until then, I do wish you all the best now. Bye bye.